Greetings, Summoner. Welcome to battle training.
Hi guys, I'm Ark Angel HFB, this is Summoner Battle Training, and today we're going deep on the topic of when to gank versus when to farm jungle. More than any other role, jungling carries the largest burden of knowledge. It's your job to know not just where the enemy jungler probably is, but also the relative status of every lane, the timers for all the buffs, and vision on all four quadrants of the jungle. So there's several factors to think about when deciding whether or not it's smart to gank. Even more frustratingly, since everything is so situational and there's so many potentially different combination of teams, you're going to have to decide these things on your own on the fly. For this reason, I've tried to come up with a list that helps you get a handle on what's going on in your game. Maybe you can make better decisions from it. I hope it helps. I took some time and I broke it down into 5 main categories that you have to keep in mind when you're jungling. The first is jungle style. What kind of jungler are you playing, as well as what kind of jungler is the enemy playing? The second is vision, and not just your vision, but also the enemy's vision. Third, relative power versus your enemies, as well as the opportunities that may affect this relative power. Upcoming power spikes of yourself, your teammates, and the enemy. And number 5, your long-term team goals. What's the win condition for your team that'll get you the victory? Okay, so right out of the gate, we as a community need to acknowledge something. All champions are not the same. All players are not the same. But when jungling, most fall into recognizable patterns. Understanding these patterns can help you know what to expect from your own jungle as well as the enemy jungler, and can really help you in deciding when to gank. Jungle style. To break down this section, it's helpful to broadly classify certain types of jungling patterns. The 3 main classifications are pressure, control, and farm. Now, there's a 4th, but I'll touch on that in a minute. Pressure. Pre-first buy destroyers. These junglers have a lot of immediate early power and get to be dangerous right from the get-go. By default, these junglers should be looking for early ganks or invades. All they really need is to reach level 2, maybe 3, and they're set to invade or gank at will, making laners and other junglers play defensively, ward defensively, or pay. Examples of these junglers are Jarvan IV, Lee Sin, Rek'Sai, Vi, Shaco, of course, Shaco, Nunu, Gragas, Nautilus, and Elise. Except not Elise, because no one fucking plays Elise. Control. First buy, then good. Champs in this category really need to finish a fast first clear, back for the jungle item, and then they can look to impact the map. Now, this isn't to say that they're weak, it's just that their first clears usually leave them too low to properly safely gank, and backing for items plus wards usually leaves them in a much stronger position, both map awareness wise and health wise. Since the vast majority of junglers available fall into this category, this is the most likely pattern that you'll encounter and use. The predictability in it can be used to your advantage for invading, but it's safe to say that most of the time you're going to need to follow this pattern. Farm. I'll see you at 6. This category of jungler hits such a massive power spike at level 6 that they usually just hard farm the jungle to rush to this threshold. Now, this isn't to say that they never ever gank, but it is to say that the majority of the time you can count on them just farming. Notable examples of these junglers include Diana, Fiddlesticks, Fiora, Malphite, Nocturne, Rengar, Sion, and Warwick. Now, there is one more common pattern that I'd like to take a moment to touch on, and that pattern is do nothing but farm until your team wishes painful fire-related death upon your worthless trick to gee, I wish I had a fucking jungler ass. Notable champions that are susceptible to this pattern are Udyr, occasionally Aatrox, Fiora, and Yi, but mostly every fucking Udyr that I've ever played with. For the love of all that is holy, please stop picking this champion and trying to reach level 19 on the backs of the damn chickens and wolves. I guarantee your teammates hate you, and if we're dying defending tier 3 tower, your priority should not be the Gromp that just spawned. But I digress. The next topic is vision, both allied and enemy. Now, this may seem like it goes without saying, but fuck, we've been saying it since season 1. The state of vision on the map has a lot to do with if you can gank or not. And I'm not just talking about if your laners tell you where the enemy has warded. Your own vision doesn't magically just stop mattering when you go to start ganking. In fact, since you're forcing a fight for yourself and teammates, it matters more. For example, let's say the enemy jungler's been camping bot. You decide, hey, I can help them now, and position for a gank. It's at this point that it's vital that you know exactly where every enemy is, or that you feel that if a counter gank happens, you're prepared and can win the fight. Speaking of winning fights, relative power, or opportunities that affect the relative power. This is where the rubber starts to hit the road. The question should be, and probably is spinning in your head if you're playing intelligently, are we stronger than the enemy? Right here, right now. To answer this question, look at everyone's items. Take note of champion level, mana, current HP, summoner spells that are up, position in lane, size of the damn creep wave, and ability cooldowns. Take note of all those, and if you think you're stronger, going for a gank is a good idea. Now, even if the enemy is stronger, you can still look for windows of weakness. Say a mage has been carrying, but now is out of mana. Their power has been massively reduced by this. If Zed throws his shadow forward, suddenly you've got an opportunity for a gank. If Thresh uses his lantern to collect souls, you've got a chance to go in for an engage, with him not having as easy of a time of escape. Lastly, if a strong carry sticks around a farm after a fight with low HP, you might have a chance at a kill. There's dozens of small opportunities like this to look for, and if you keep your eyes open and play smart, they will present themselves. Upcoming power spikes. Simply put, if you haven't bought in a while, or are close to leveling, it's probably a good idea to hold off on ganking until you reach that power spike. Ganking pre-power spike is an excellent way to throw away an advantage and lose fights you'd otherwise win. Conversely, ganking before the enemy reaches their power spikes is an excellent way of securing advantages. And that's the thing about the jungle. It's always about weighing your options out. Do I give up my power spike to take away their power spike, or do I meet them on equal grounds after the power spike? That's a decision you're going to have to make game to game, situation to situation. Long-term team goals. The last thing to keep in mind is, what is your team's win conditions? It's a valid thought process to camp for a hyper carry if it means that they could carry you later in the game. On the other hand, if the enemy has a hyper carry, it's also a good idea to camp the hell out of them to stop them from winning the game for their team. Like, let's say you have a Nasus. It's a pretty good idea to ward or gank for him to ensure that he reaches his late game potential. Or, if the enemy's mid laner is Cat, you can camp her. Sure, you'll never kill her because she has a free escape, but you might hold her down, and that's totally worth. I mean, who are we fucking kidding? She's gonna roam by, she'll walk over wards, people will ping, no one will pay attention, she'll get a double kill, you'll be down there ganking, she'll get a triple kill. Who cares? Your mid laner won't push lane, fuck that, why get the tower? But that's just my YOLO. I'm just plat to diamond. What do I know? So wrapping up part 1, I hope you guys have a better idea of some of the big picture meta concepts that'll really inform when you should gank and when you should farm. Now going into part 2, we're going to be breaking down some actual gameplay footage. Hopefully you guys can glean something from these actual in-game instances of when to gank and when to farm, and it'll make you better players overall. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening to me ramble for close to 9 minutes, and I'll catch you guys next time. Ark out.